They had set a deadline of noon, which is just an hour and 15 minutes away, saying that they were going to kill all of their hostages at that time. At this moment, 8 or 9 terrified living human beings are being held prisoner.
It's 1972. Germany has finally come out of the destruction of World War II and are about to host the next Olympics. This will be the first major sporting event that Germany has held since the Nazi Olympics in 1936. Germany wanted everyone to feel comfortable at the games, so the security was minimal. Then, on September 5th, 5 o'clock a.m., 8 Palestinian terrorists from a group called Black September scaled the 8-foot fence surrounding the Olympic Village and headed straight for 31 Konlistrasse, where the Israeli Olympic team were staying for the Olympics. The terrorists then proceeded to storm through the building, killing 2 Israeli athletes, Moshe Weinberg and Yosef Romano, who fought back against the terrorists. When the initial attack was finished, the terrorists had 9 hostages, starting what was the first televised terror attack in the world. The attack was the first time since World War II that Jewish blood was spilled in Germany. Many countries did not attend the 1972 Summer Olympics because they still had not forgiven Germany after the horrific events of World War II. At the start of the Games, Germany felt a surge of triumph that countries trusted them in protecting their athletes during their stay at the Olympic Games. Before 1880, Palestine was home to more than 25,000 Jewish people. Many of the Jewish people wanted their own state in Palestine. After World War II, American President Harry Truman began backing the concept of a Jewish state. After President Truman backed the concept, many Jewish guerrilla groups started attacking Arab communities, and with that, on April 9th, 1948, started the Arab-Israel War. The war lasted many years, and in the end, the Jewish people won, creating Israel. In 1950, Palestine met a group called Fatah. Fatah was a Palestine guerrilla group with the aim of taking their land back from Israel. Again, in 1964, Palestine made another group called the Palestine Liberation Organization, or the PLO. The PLO was made to centralize the leaders of all the other Arab groups. The PLO had military bases in Jordan and were attacking Israel from the bases there. But the Jordan army then attacked the PLO's bases and forcefully made them leave the country. The PLO then formed a new group to get revenge on Jordan by assassinating their king. The group formed was named Black September and would go on to cause terror at the Munich Olympics. After the hostages were taken, German officials tried to negotiate with the terrorists, but Black September wanted an impossible demand. They asked for Israel to release over 230 Arab prisoners in exchange for the release of the hostages. Black September gave them a deadline of 9 o'clock a.m. to complete the task, and if they did not, they would execute the hostages. Israel could not agree to the conditions, so they asked the German officials to negotiate with the terrorists. The German officials kept pushing the deadline further and further into the day, and then the terrorists finally asked for something different. They now wanted a plane to fly out of Germany and settle it in a neutral country. The Germans could do nothing but agree with them. So late on September 5th, a bus came by, picked up the terrorists, and then from there they loaded into helicopters and headed for a German military airport named Fürstenfeldbruck, where they'd be flown out of Germany. Right after the decision was made to let the terrorists go, German officials decided to take matters into their own hands by positioning 5 snipers around Fürstenfeldbruck airport. There was a plane waiting for the terrorists, but the crew were soldiers waiting for them to arrive. Finally, the helicopters arrived with both hostages and terrorists inside, and from then on, everything went wrong. The terrorists asked to survey the area for any sign of danger, and that is when the first German sniper took a shot. After that, nobody could see what was happening. The terrorists and German officers were locked in a firefight. Finally, after what seemed like forever, a terrorist pulled the pin on a grenade and threw it into a helicopter that held half the hostages, and another terrorist opened fire on the remaining hostages. When the shooting finally stopped, every hostage was dead. 5 of the 8 terrorists were dead, and 1 German police officer was dead.
When I was a kid, my father used to say, our greatest hopes and our worst fears are seldom realized. Our worst fears have been realized tonight. They have now said that there were 11 hostages. 2 were killed in their rooms yesterday morning. 9 were killed at the airport tonight. They're all gone.
The day after the attack, there was a ceremony to honor the dead athletes. After the ceremony, 2 things happened. One was that every remaining Israeli athlete left the Olympic Village, and second was when Olympic President Avery Brundage made the announcement that the Games would continue to show that the terrorists did not truly win.
The Games must go on.
Many people were outraged that the Games would continue, but after September 5th, the 1972 Olympics were never the same. Among the dead athletes included the attack on the Olympics had a major effect on security at future Olympics. At the 1976 Olympics in Montreal, there was a huge increase in spending money for security. After 1972, you could no longer go to an unguarded Olympics. After the event, many countries made anti-terrorist groups to help if there was ever another situation, like 1972. Many family members of the dead athletes wanted nobody to forget the tragic events of 1972, including Anke Spitzer. Anke was the wife of Andre Spitzer, one of the athletes that died at the airport. She made sure that nobody forgot about the event and would continue to remember and honor the dead athletes.
If this is where they spend the last hours of their life, I am going to talk about it. I have to tell about it.
The attack on the 1972 Munich Olympics were painfully tragic, but triumphantly, we gained more security at future Olympics, and many countries made anti-terrorist groups to help the police in case of an attack. If the attack had not happened, more attacks just like it could have happened in the future. With family members of the dead athletes talking about the tragic events of the 1972 Munich Olympics, they will never be forgotten.